Hello team and family, this is video number 1 over percent proportions, finding the whole. Robert flew 150 miles. This represents 40% of his entire trip. A. What is the total amount of miles Robert is flying? So I know that he flew 150 miles, and I know that this represents the part because it says that this represents 40% of his entire trip. So this is part of the whole thing. We don't know what the whole thing is. That's what we're looking for. And we know that the percent is 40%. So with that information, we should be able to set up a percent proportion to figure out how many total miles Robert flew. So I'm going to put my proportion up here. 150 miles is the part. I'm looking for the whole thing. 150 miles is 40% of the total trip, and the total trip would be 100%. So now I can cross multiply. 40 times x equals 150 times 100. Step 2, I'm going to keep 40 times x, and then I'm going to multiply 150 times 100, which is 15,000. Step 3, I'm going to divide both sides by the number in front of x, which is 40. 40 divided by 40 cancels out, and then I've got 15,000 divided by 40. Or I could take away a 0 from the top and the bottom, and then I have 1,500 divided by 4. And 1,500 divided by 4, x equals 375. So, what is the total amount of miles Robert is flying? He's flying 375 miles. That's my total or my whole amount of miles that he's flying. Part B, how many miles did Robert have left to finish his trip? So, if he flew 40% of his trip, which was 150 miles, and we know the total amount of the trip is 375, I can take away 150 from 375 to figure out how many miles he has left. So all I need to do is subtract 150 from 375, which gets me 225 miles. So he flew 150, which is 40% of his entire trip. If he flies another 225 miles, he'll be at his total amount, which is 375. If I was to set up a proportion for this, most of it would look the same, and I could solve similarly for x. The only issue is I can't put 150 up here when I set up my proportion. I would actually have to know the total. So I'd have to know 375 and put x above that, and then figure out, this is 100%, I want to find 60%. Not 40. So I would need to know the total in order to make that happen and to solve for it. And so that would be my proportion that I set up. Or, like I said, once you find out that's 375 miles, you could just take 150 miles away from it in order to get your answer.